Episode 34, Open Class Doodles. Welcome everybody to the COACHMC studio. This is the place where we'll help you actors, performers, entertainers to shape unique behavior deliveries and to stand out in the audition room no matter where the audition takes place and what you're auditioning for. Because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, creative community, it's all about communicating your ideas successfully in a very intriguing, compelling, and recognizable way. So you become a remarkable core value preposition product, a blue ocean full of creativity and stuff that is worth watching, worth a while, worth a session, worth a couple of minutes, worth time of your life. Welcome everybody to Open Class Doodles, Tactical Doodles to Success. And today I got a very special episode, and we're gonna talk about like a majestic encounter of two polarized forces, an epic clash of values and of linguistical preposition, of how to present and how to communicate in an effective way. Everything after this. So the idea was actually this. Welcome everybody to Open Class Doodles, episode 34, Jerry Seinfeld versus TED Talks. And that is actually, of course, just an artificial built controversy. We're not talking about like an actual competition or something that went on. It just happened to be the title of our video because of things that happened in our life. And I want to explain a bit and elaborate on the title first and then give you a breakdown of today's episode, because this is a really interesting one for you public speakers, for you communicators, for you actors, of course. Everybody who, yes, wishes to kind of reach out to people, impact other people's brains and hearts and right, and kind of communicating effectively and in a very interesting way what you have in mind. For all these people, today's episode is, I think, fundamental. This is one of those, a bit more important episodes. Yeah, this is the one today. So welcome everybody to Open Class Doodles, episode 34. Hi, Serena. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hi, Isabella. This is also great. Thank you so much. Welcome everybody on Facebook as well. YouTube, Instagram, everywhere you are. Guys, it's a pleasure having you. So the plan was this. In Miami, it was announced that, the video, the idea of the video today was actually originally that we would have, covered the TEDx talk down here in Miami South Beach. That was like the principal idea behind today's video. And we wanted, we booked two tickets, went there and kind of started our usual process of thinking how we want to shoot this and, how we want to integrate it. Because TED Talk has always been like one of those, of course, shows that have been super influential, especially, for a long time. They have been like, very instrumental in teaching us new ways of communicating ideas. It was like a very revolutionary idea. Like the TED Talk in itself was, I think, like a great invention. And hey, Serena, we have also Baudouin, Martina, and we have Vincinger. Hey, what's up, Vincinger, super amigos? It's nice to have you guys here. It's beautiful. Hope everybody's doing fine and well. And of course, I know. Hey, Annie, what's up? Of course, I know. Thank you so much. Likewise, I'm really excited you guys are here. Make sure to leave a like, guys. I see a lot of people, but I don't see as many likes. So what's up? Just hit the like button, guys. Just make that little effort. It helps so much. Rosita's also here. Don't forget to do that. It supports the channel, gives us a little bit of boost, and it also shows you in the future more videos and more recommendations from YouTube side that you seem to be interested in. If you kind of hit the like button here, then you have also more streamlined surfing experience in the future. Ciao, sei un grande in due malaye. Of course, we try our best. So our plan was to cover that. To cover the TED Talk, because we're always interested in, communication ideas. We're always interested in, what's new, what's trendy, where the current is coming from, and where it's heading to. Right, understanding the future makes us to decode our steps more easier in the present, and therefore analyzing more effectively your next move and your next plan. So I knew that TED Talks, I mean, that has been the current in the, internet, subreddits, all that stuff on Twitter. A lot of people have been criticizing TED Talks lately because they have lost a little bit of their drive, of their quality, and also of their narration, like in terms of, content. It wasn't that impactful and that important and that influential anymore. I guess you can sum it up like this. I wanted to be a bit more diplomatic, but I guess, the truth is always, this is the best way of bringing it out, guys. It's just the way it is. And I think that's normal. It's not here to criticize TED Talks anything or just kind of bash them or attack them. It's just the way of things. Culture, quality, environment, all this stuff changes. And therefore, of course, also the level of quality of your output changes. It always depends from the players. There's Pep Guardiola, very important football manager, over there in Europe, and he's one of the most successful football managers. This is how we call soccer in Europe, by the way, guys. And he says, I could be the best trainer in the world if you don't give me the right players, if you don't, buy me expensive players. There's no way of kind of translating my philosophy into a victory. So if you guys, creative people, want to translate your philosophy in your victory, in your personal victory, then of course you have to come up with a strong narrative, with something that gives you an impulse, something that you truly believe in, because that will ultimately give you the resilience that you need in order to succeed. And since this TED Talk was announced as being a TED Talk about resilience, Alessandra and I were super, super interested in heading there and kind of, checking out the new speakers and kind of, diving into this TED Talk culture, because I knew it wouldn't be probably as good as TED Talks of, a couple of years ago, or maybe Miami isn't also like a hot place, like a hot spot for great speakers to come. Maybe we're not really attractive for a Gary Wee type of speaker. It also depends, of course, of the money that you invest and the budget that you have and all that. So therefore, we were sort of with mixed expectations. We weren't setting the bar too high. We knew that Miami as a city is not usually the city for the biggest names and stuff. And the program wasn't also kind of, kind of seeming to have that. And so therefore, we were just curious about what we could learn, what new ideas we could kind of take down note, because of course if I'm, whenever I'm moving outside or whenever I'm moving, I guess I'm always observing. I'm always taking in material, always taking in information, always taking in something where I feel like, hey, this I could be like include into a session with a client, into a video and a remark I want to drop on Saturday Night Hypnosis, right? By the way, of course, guys, don't miss out episode 91 of Saturday Night Hypnosis next Saturday. That's crazy, guys. We started and we have already 91 episodes. Incredible, incredible stuff. So therefore, the plan was to kind of, give you a little breakdown of the TED Talk itself and kind of what it taught us about communication, about public speaking, of course, because this is one of our main segments here at the COACHMC studio. This is one of the most, actually one of the most favorite courses that we have. Yeah, well, it's very interesting how that always kind of reflects also the city you're in. There are a lot of public speakers down here in Miami, a lot of people with keynote events, networking events, showcasing events, a lot of fairs, exhibitions, conventions, the boat show, Fleet Week, Memorial Week. I mean, it's just crazy how many, like we have music shows, fashion shows, Art Basel, we have the bikini, the swim week. So all these shows, they need public speakers. They need people communicating. They need people who are selling. They need people on the booth, or they need people who train the people, the sellers, kind of representing the company in the booth and the cubicle. Whether of course, they're bringing an in-house talent, but they need to be assisted sometimes, introduced. And even if, right, on a stage like that, it's always important to have your arguments down, to have a clear speech, to know exactly what your vocal image looks like, how settled you are on your arguments, what you want to say, your key points, all that stuff. So public speaking is becoming really like a nice and beautiful movement in itself, it kind of generating millions of dollars in revenue every year all around the globe. So if you want to be part of that tribe and be part of a culture that it communicates, therefore join us also here on readytoperform.com. Hit me a direct message and let's hit it up there, right? Also, since we're here, guys, just in the own intention, of course, really quickly, we have a beautiful masterclass coming up. It's on improv this time. Yeah, you can't miss out on this one. It's gonna be super fun. We're gonna play also. It's gonna be a bit more interaction. It's gonna be an interesting, beautiful masterclass. It's gonna sum up a little bit the year also so far. So definitely stop by, register directly down here. Don't worry. We got you covered also on Eventbrite, right? Make sure to be there. So it's funny. We went to the TED Talk, Alessandra, my wife, and vice president, and vice communicator, and me. And we were already kind of, thinking of the video, mapping out, kind of looking at the participants, who are the speakers, and beautiful building, by the way, New World Symphony. It looks really, really nice, really nicely built, interesting shapes. It could be, for my taste, it could be even crazier. I would have done, something else, but definitely a nice building. I wanted to check it out. Us the first time there. It's right around the corner, beautiful. So went in, and I was at least expecting, when we're talking about TED, that, speaker-wise, like in terms of like the technicality of the business of a public speaker, let's say it this way, right? To have your toolbox, your sets ready, and to know at least how to impact the audience, how to convey an idea, how to tell interesting stories. I would have at least expected that type of level, right? And so, to be honest, I was a bit, disappointed. It was really not what I was expecting for, even though I had my expectation bar set it, like I thought, in an adequate manner, adequately low, let's say it this way, right? But it was really funny to kind of, see these people speak, and nothing really caught my attention. Even though the interior, I mean, it's our Philharmony, so it's a beautiful interior, like you can imagine. It's a beautiful hall, nicely built, a lot of speakers, interesting people, CEOs, people that allegedly have changed and shaped already our human existence, our societies, inventors, important figures. All these people, kind of coming and going. We weren't really like captivated by anything that we were hearing. And not because, I'm not saying this because I want to kind of brag or just that might come across as bit being a bit arrogant. I get that, right? It's really not meant this way. It was just, of course, I'm used to great entertainment. I produce entertainment for the majority of my life. This is what I do. And so therefore, of course, my bar is pretty high. But nonetheless, I can adjust my expectations to the environment, to the context, and to the the context of the show and what I should expect, at least, right? So therefore, I'm not too hard on the people, and I'm not judging their skill set based on kind of expectations that might be exaggerated or anything. I was just at least expecting some, ideas, some impacts, a little bit of inspiration, right? So the three sacred eyes, stuff that at least would, kind of, TED has this, of course, there's, when you think about TED Talks, you always think about, hey, this is good stuff. There's something that I can take out of it, and for my own life, for my own work. And so at least I would, expect them like to bring people who could convey, something powerful. But, the thing, sometimes it depends also on the night. It depends also on the subject. And so therefore I was always, looking at the title of the show while sitting there. We bought tickets for $160. And it was called Resilience. The whole show was called Resilience. So the topic in itself was giving you a pretty good and pretty clear path about what this evening should be about, right? I mean, why else giving it such a, also like a hard title, right? Resilience is, Vinciga, that's true and a good point. I was trying to kind of understand, like, okay, we sit here, this thing is called resilience, and all these people were talking and saying things. First of all, like I'm saying, toolbox wise, presentation wise, communication wise, public speaking wise, it wasn't, the highest quality, highest levels. But I understand it's also people who are maybe not trained or experienced in that matter, in that field. Although there are some coaches, you can just ask us. And I guess, if you're doing such $1 million type of night, sponsored by such important people coming in, big people, also representative, responsible sectors. I mean, it's always interesting, to deliver something that is, kind of matching the context. So they could have trained, but no, what we saw was, it was just, content brought forth. And so some of it was, of course, more entertaining, some a bit less. But at a certain point, we realized, okay, this is certainly not our night, maybe. But you could also tell from the crowd that not everybody was truly satisfied with the type of content, with what they were giving us. Some of the presentations also went sideways because of course, you have mistakes. It's live, technical equipment wasn't working for one of the speakers. He kind of, got confused about it and kind of lost his train of thought. And so we're seeing all these things happening. People that were just too quiet, not speaking correctly, hard to understand. Some of them speaking too fast. And I was really wondering, like, how this could be. Of course, nervosity, I understand, but these people were also, important people, inventors, CEOs that usually also speak to their, board of members and of course also to other big events, and when they're, kind of presenting their products, pitching their newest invention and all that. So besides that, I felt like disconnected, and at a certain point, we just left, to be honest, and we went home slightly kind of disappointed, and said, "Hey, what are we gonna cover like on our next open class doodle?" This was our topic, alongside other stuff that we want to talk about in terms of entertainment. And I also promised Pat, that is not showing up right now, if we could talk about the blockchain technology and the distribution of Web3, how that potentially could help us also, for us, creators, to kind of, distribute and connect also to other artists out there. And so far he's not here. So therefore we're gonna maybe clink out on that as soon as he shows up. But I woke up this morning, and then I kind of came across a speech of Jerry Seinfeld. It kind of just popped up on my computer, and it was for the Duke's 2024 commencement, and it's the commencement address. And every university kind of releases the alumni into freedom, into liberty, into the big world, and now start working to paying off your debts. Right? Poor people sometimes, even before they start working, which is really funny. But of course, these universities are expensive, and some of them, kind of deserve the money that you pay for. They're truly and fairly amazing facilities, incredible stuff. You have books that are, hundreds of years old, and professors that have an immense amount of experience. So you can learn there, and it's a protected ground. So, some of the money you pay for is of course also well deserved. They are truly expensive, but maybe in the middle there is the truth, like always. And so Duke University, being a very well respected university, one of the best out there, I guess, and being Jerry Seinfeld, and I have to kind of disclose this first. There is this disclaimer coming. I watched a lot of episodes of Seinfeld, really a lot, and I really enjoyed the humor back then. And I never know why, because it just, to me, the series like felt real and like a farce sometimes at the same time, right? I don't know, the younger people here in the chat might not know it. Seinfeld is a great show. But I never felt like an incredible fan of Jerry Seinfeld. I really admired his work. I really loved the show, but I felt like it's also an ensemble, like in a collective effort. Seinfeld are so, these three main characters, they really rock the show. And he was a genius in writing, and definitely as a comedian, he's one of the best out there. Nevertheless, I was never like a huge fan of him, right? Like, oh, like I don't know. I seldomly have that anyways, like being a huge fan or hugely attached to a certain celebrity or an artist. But I do have my fanboy moments, of course. When I worked with Ridley Scott, that was truly like my fanboy moment, right? To see him, work with him, exchange with him, talk with him. It felt incredible. I felt like doing this, and it also me observing myself doing this, right? When I was talking to him and referring to him, if it was an really nice experience. And you might check, you want to check out, you know, All the Money in the World, All the Money by Ridley Scott. There is a beautiful scene, Michelle Williams and I, yeah, the two of us in one scene. Yes, yeah, you know, and a Steadicam operator and some light technicians and some other folks. So I woke up to Seinfeld, Jerry, and in the past he has given a couple of interviews where he kind of complained about woke culture and you know, things getting over like getting out of hand here with this, you know, the identity politics, and he was complaining a couple of talk shows, but I was never really, yeah, I kind of saw him doing that, observed him doing that. It felt original. It felt authentic. It felt like he really said what he felt there when he was kind of complaining in these talk shows about this culture of, you know, of this woke culture and of these pronouns and all that. But still, the way he presented it always, it was very comedic, of course. Knowing him, that's the way he talks and acts and how he is. And ultimately, also through his Netflix show, you know, comedians drinking coffee in cars or something like that. A show that I really enjoyed. I really loved this show. And it's very interesting what he got out of some people, but the situation in itself and how he sometimes proposed it and the thing about telling about the cars, I really liked that show. And so I started kind of believing that Seinfeld is maybe a different person. Like, and today with this commencement address of Duke's University 2024 that was released 3 days ago, when I watched it the first time today, like I woke up and I don't know, it kind of popped up, and while I was doing other things, I was, you know, kind of started watching it, and it immediately caught my attention by the way he was speaking. And then when I had the quiet moment later on, I watched it again, and I was genuinely surprised. I was almost shocked. It was a true moment I had there. It's like, damn, this is a really good speech. It contains everything. It's powerful. It has great impact. It has humor, most importantly. It makes sense, but at the same time, it's not inflammatory. It's not accusational. It's not, you know, it's not preaching. It's not anything like that. And still, it delivers the message and it conveys an idea. And when you have public speakers that are capable of doing all these things in a relatively small amount of time, if you think about, which in today's span, like holding a speech for, I don't know, 15 minutes, right, is already like, this is what we teach over here at the COACHMC studio, right? It's difficult, right, to kind of hold concentration, to hold everybody into their bonds and kind of, you know, continuing on a certain trajectory, but never losing the impulse, the emotion and the passion behind it. It's truly a difficult task. And not only Jerry Seinfeld delivered that, he made me realize that he had given me what I was searching at the TED Talk. This was exactly what I was looking for yesterday night when Alessandra and I went to this TED Talk into the new symphony down here in Miami Beach. This was exactly the inspiration, the technical capabilities, and also the idea that was conveyed, the substratus, right? The double meaning that you also needed to reflect upon a couple of things in a more stratified, deeper, subconscious way. Stuff that you kind of, you know, think about for over a period of time, and at a certain point, you kind of figure out what your standing is. and then you realize maybe that changes or not. But this is finally, you develop a meaning, a true belief for something. This is what we were actually looking for yesterday, and we got it from YouTube today. And so I thought, hey, let's put this in a contrast, right? And here's the thing. I don't want to show you the TEDx stuff. First of all, we haven't recorded it because we realized it's just not right. It's not relevant for the channel. It wouldn't make our, it's just not good enough, right? Let's say it this way. And I want to elaborate more on the Jerry Seinfeld speech, because what he said and how he said it was truly remarkable. He delivered ideas, he conveyed a message, and he made people laugh at the same time. And that is truly a masterpiece. And we can all learn from such masters when they're working. And so I just, I take my hat, and this time he is coaching us. So, first of all, let's take a look at the setting, because the setting is telling us also about the character of a performer. Because performing in a little studio, when it's comfortable and everything around you is quiet and concentrated is relatively easy. But focusing when you have thousands of people watching you, making noise, and eventually having thousands of potential herds of distraction, right? And different signals that you're coming in, and generally mood hitting you physically also, is a completely different ball game, right? It's a completely different idea of performing. You have to stay calm. You have to know exactly what you do. Even if you have a great microphone, you have to, control your audience. And this is only, a master's task. There are many great entertainers that have been invited to these commencements and to these universities, to hold some of these speeches. And really just a few have achieved, what they usually achieve in a studio lot. Also, when they gave those speeches live in front of the crowd, because it's a different game. In the studio, you need one type of set of tools. When you're outside, your tools have to be adjusted to the occasion, and not everybody is used to it. Of course, it's just also a matter of practice, right? But it's funny to me that looking at Jerry and what he did is I'm thinking of other entertainers and also other important actors that have been at these commencements. Not all of them have been really that entertaining and that impactful and that great. It really is also a fact of, handling the audience for a couple of minutes and keeping them quiet and delivering the message and having control of a couple of reactions, but nonetheless holding firm till you deliver the package, and then it's there to observe and to be cheered at. That's really masters at work. And this is the reason why I wanted to dedicate the show also a little bit into this artificial controversy that we created. So here's the commencement.
Thank you. Oh my God, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful class. We love you guys.
And you can clearly also hear just from the beginning, right? Not everybody's cheering, not everybody's crazy about him, because of course, in these universities recently, yes, through the different political agendas that have been kind of commanding, a little bit the narrative of these universities in terms of what should be taught, and all these new, grades that have also been, kind of implemented into the system. There have been a lot of, backlash and controversy about, probably also about him, coming to do this, and not everybody was happy. You could hear that.
I am here today at the gracious invitation of President Price and the Duke Board of Trustees, because after spending 4 years at what is considered one of the finest institutions of higher education in the world, they apparently feel that perhaps some light entertainment will get you all to the final realization, I think I've really had enough of this place. let's bring...
I'm sorry, I interrupted a couple of seconds, microseconds before, but this is nice. Nice introduction. He makes everybody smile. He controls the crowd. He's looking to them. There is no, this is really cool. Like in the beginning, he's not using his hands, which is also a very, very smart move. You don't want to interfere with gestures right from the start. Let them first build up trust. You don't want to kind of confuse their optical vision, right? Just give them first, hold your point, get force from the standpoint where you're in. Probably he's also a bit nervous, so he's trying to kind of, giving pressure also to the desk and to the board, and first installing rapport and relationship with the audience. Very smart, well played, great joke. Everybody's laughing. He has already everybody in his pockets, at 43 seconds. Look at the smiling faces in the back. This is a very good start.
In a comedian, let's bring the sophistication and erudition of the Duke experience down a couple notches.
This is also great. Sophistication and erudition, right? To kind of, immediately touching upon what the values are of the institution, and giving also immediately insight into the importance of this honor, but at the same time making, of course, using it ironically to make a joke out of it, and giving immediate also relief to the audience. Very smart played.
And I thought maybe that does make sense. Maybe the thinking was, what we really want is to just get these kids the hell out of here. What would give them that last final push?
Yes, and then of course double using his image, for making himself also a potential victim, right? Because he is, kind of regarded as a disturbing factor right now with the usual policy that this university is running, and so therefore, some of them, might see him as a moral opponent, right, instead of a friend, and so therefore they might be opposed of the idea of Jerry Seinfeld showing up today. So that is nice. Also, just like use me as a reason, even more so, right, to get the hell out of here, right? I don't want to deal with these guys anymore. So that's also nice how he plays out irony. So already 1 minute. He made a great presentation. He touched upon the tradition of Duke University. He made himself, he installed rapport. He left his hands down. Now he already, if you can see it on the screen, now he already is opening up a little, right? His hands are now finally showing up a little bit down there. But he has installed with a couple of good jokes already a smooth relationship, but they're not too exaggerated. So it's just a very smooth Jerry Seinfeld type of intro. Only, only kind of, at the same time, reaching out to an audience of maybe, it looks like at least, I don't know, a couple of thousand. I have to look into the numbers, but it looked immense, like a couple of thousand people. This is how you want to present an idea, in my opinion. Of course, I'm not always talking about making a joke. And this is not always about making a joke. What he's showing is not necessarily, what is a joke? A joke can be something of course, the objective value is different, but let's say you have different scales, right? A joke can be very smart and sometimes super, stupid, and just, it can still be a good joke, right? It's not about judging. But he introduces the joke in a very smart way. It's a highly intellectual joke, but without being too sophisticated, which is really difficult to balance out. Right? He makes a good intellectual joke that everybody can understand, and at the same time, it is sophisticated. It kind of, speaks for himself. He doesn't want to offend anyone right off the bat. And the way he's also proposing, he's not making himself the star of this, right? By already touching upon certain topics that are so dear, right, to Duke University. So I feel like after 1 minute, this has already been a very impressive presentation.
Because what you might not be fully aware of.
There you had, for the first time, the hand, right? And this is, of course, this gesture, we know exactly, this is, it has a certain dynamic. It has a certain, it's not really accusational, but it has a very direct, impulsive message, right? A hand gesture like this has a very strong, it has a certain meaning. It's a very strong gesture. It's not something soft. he used it in the right way. He just made one so far at 1 minute and 3 points into his speech. And this one just to kick off, because what he showed before was just the intro. Actually, the preamble to the greater spanning intro, but it was just the kickoff, right? And now he's really going into the matter, and this is why he used his hand. Now, do you think everything was programmed like this? Or do you think this was just an impulsive reaction and this was just spontaneous? I don't necessarily believe so. I think he knows pretty much what he's doing. It's a set that he wrote down. He's a very well-experienced comedian, having done thousands and thousands of hours of stage experience and having shot like another 1,000 sets of hours in front of the camera. So he knows how to impact the audience. And he's playing it magnificently now to the bigger audience. Respectfully to what I saw yesterday, where people were trying to intimidate us as the audience, is the one who paid for the show, where people came across as confusional, or people not really holding their vocal image to a certain level that you could truly understand what the proposition of the value here was about. Now we have someone who plays it out smoothly without trying to kind of, threaten people or play any special effects, who has an intellectual storytelling value, irony woven in right from the start, who's kind of building up a nice rapport with his audience, who seems to be excited and about the fact that he's there, right? He seems to be happy to be there. I couldn't tell about the people yesterday the same thing. So that already is good quality. And then he uses his gestures in an effective way. He knows what he's doing and he uses them in a way. He wants to exemplify something, accentuate something. He wants to give a push to the argument. He has done his intro, 1 minute mark, perfectly delivered, everything in there, strategically placed, no flickering in the voice, and bada boom. And now he's, putting in the third gear. Now he's warming up even more his beautiful linguistical engine. And just make sure to, follow me along this ride, because this is going to be a slightly different episode, as you can already tell from Open Class Doodles. But I think a one where you want to take a lot of notes, guys. Take notes, take notes, take notes. This is good stuff. This is how you improve your speech. This is how you improve your communication. This is how you convey ideas. This is how you connect to the audience. You befriend the people you're talking to. Really good stuff. I mean, this is 101, a masterclass that could be, like a part of a package that usually you have to pay for. So therefore, also, subscribe to the COACHMC studio for giving, these value propositions out. Also, another thing, the speech that he's presenting right from the start is related to the task. So the thing that I found the most astonishing and the most astounding yesterday is at TEDx, nobody was topic related. Nobody was really speaking about resilience, even though that was the big, the big title for the show. Maybe after we left at a certain point, everybody just spoke about that, but nobody offered any insights about what resilience actually meant for them or how they achieve it. It was just their experience, their, inventions that they presented, their whatever quest they were, onto, they were sharing. And it was also interesting but nobody was really relating to that head title, right? And I found that a little bit confusing. It was like, how is this possible, right? This show is about resilience. So where's the resilience here? Here, the person who is speaking, who is showing perfect connection to what he's like, he has a perfect connection to the context, to the value proposition, to what the show should be about. He's following the line like 100%. And at the same time, he's doing his own thing. Again, this is how masters work. And that is clear. He wants to be there. He knows what to do, and he knows how to honor. He doesn't outshine the master, right? It's not about himself. It's about staying on track while delivering. That's the art of performing.
Is that the entire time you have been at this wonderful university, we have been meeting and talking to other kids that we would like to replace you with.
He's talking about maybe
Not
we lost that a
because
little
we
bit.
weren't happy with you.
Of course,
Not
Duke
at
is looking
all.
out for new
You
people,
have been
right?
great. It's just, you know, we wanted to see what's out there. I don't want to say exactly how many kids we talked to. It's roughly this many. And we met a lot of wonderful kids, a lot. Was there a time when we were thrilled to have you come here to learn, grow, and flourish? Of course there was.
I think this is funny what he's doing there. Just remind me. I want to keep you on it, but I think he's doing something there.
That time is past. We do offer graduate programs in a number of different disciplines if you and your parents want to stall your ultimate uselessness for a few more years. I can't imagine how sick you are of hearing about following your passion. I say, the hell with passion.
It's interesting. Why is he doing that? So in the beginning, he told them, right? In the beginning, he told them that, oh, I'm sorry. I got this down the whole time. Probably you haven't heard that. Well, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Just to recap, so even more so a reason for me to kind of give you that. So what he was saying is like, while we're kind of addressing tonight's, commencement address, and we're kind of, preparing everything for you to kind of say goodbye to us, at the same time, we're looking for new people. So bye-bye to you, new people in. This is how we survive. So he's saying something really true, right? And it's also desecrating in a way because it takes away a little bit of the holiness of the moment. It's about you guys, we should celebrate the crowd, these beautiful, proud, students that have worked so hard throughout the year, right? No. The truth of the matter is we're already looking for the new students, right? Like, go, right? And so there is like some sort of double meaning there, of double speech there, and also of like a double standard. There's a double moral standard. Yes, we love you guys. Thank you, students, for being here at Duke University, but also go away. We need new students to survive and to make money. And he's addressing that. And why is he addressing that? Because he could, of course, stay with the, with the beautiful moment and stay with the student. I mean, he's saying that for a reason. So when you are a lawyer, for example, you make an accusation audit, like you state an obvious truth about your client in order to gain the trust of the jury and also of the judge. So you say something about him to demonstrate that you are a truth-sayer, right? That you want to gain their trust and that your argument is always objective. And therefore, this is how you get closer to their hearts, to their feelings, and they start trusting you more, right? If you start with the accusation audit. Usually they do this when the client is absolutely guilty, right? There is no other way of going around it. So you start with an accusation audit. So this is similar to an accusation audit in a way. He's gaining their trust by stating the obvious.
Find something you can do. That would be great. If you try something and it doesn't work, that's okay too. Most things do not work. Most things are not good. You know this already from your short lives. You leave the house, you come back. How was Pie Hard? It was okay.
Something else.
That's why everyone tries so hard to get in here. Duke actually is really good. The school is the square handicap button that opens the broadhead doors to your life.
And so it's what he made there is nice. By starting with the accusation audit, you start to trust him. Why? Because he wants the crowd to trust him, to trust his judgment, to trust his demeanor, to trust his spinal cord of value, to trust the way he's tend to act. That's a very interesting thing to do. You want to make sure from the beginning that you have the crowd on your side because you want to convey a message that ultimately solidifies in an idea. This is why you set something like this up. Quite the opposite to what my wife and I experienced yesterday, when nobody used any sort of technique to relate to the audience, not just in a personal, private way, but to really set up confidence, rapport, relationship with the people who came, who dressed up, and not everybody behaved yesterday as if, they start with the idea that you already made your homework about who they are without explaining context, background, anything. And if there was any background explanation, it was all about they, being, some sort of victims of their environment, of some relationships, of anything else, in order to explain their unique expertise in this field, instead of kind of showing me the merit through, a teaching, an idea, an explanation that actually makes sense. So in contrast to what Jerry Seinfeld is doing, this is absolutely the holy grail of public speaking here. I mean, this is finally someone who really understands his business, his profession, who is a master over his tools. Look at his demeanor. He's relaxed. He's in control. He's poised. He's almost not fumbling or losing his train of thought. He's, of course, he's a greatly experienced conductor of crowds and masses. But he could have, believe me, if you don't exercise, if you don't do your homework, if, like yesterday, I shot a self-tape, okay? And you probably think, well, if an actor who's also an acting coach shoots a self-tape, this is like a piece of cake. It's, just a walk in the park, a couple of minutes of work. Of course not, right? We always fight over everything. There's so much to think of. And me, like anyone else, when I'm the actor, when I'm on the other side of the river, I need a coach. I need guidance. I need an assistant as well. So somebody needs to guide me. Sometimes somebody needs to give me some really instructive, illuminating thoughts and tools and directions. And also sometimes just clear assignments. Just do this, right? I need that as well. I realized that yesterday while we were shooting this super funny self-tape. And you always need training. You always need access. This goes to saying that even a master of his craft needs to kind of, go through his lines and act professionally every time he gets called to action. You think he didn't do that? You're wrong. He exercised this, thoroughly, because he knows that. Also, by the way he's setting up, it's clear that he knows that he probably thinks that Duke University, to some extent, could be hostile to his presence, right? You kind of can tell also by his body language and how he was receiving, like almost surprised that the crowd was receiving him so well with his jokes. It's like, you actually react to me. It's like, it seems like he was really not that convinced of how positive the reaction would be. And therefore he prepared a very strong psychological, not manipulative, just a very strong, like what actors sometimes do. I compare this to our subtext. When we have a subtext in the scene that could sporadically pop up, what we do is we sort of substitute the line that we're actually saying with what we are actually intentioned to say. So what it means is, if I say to another character in the scene something like, "Hey, it's great to see you," right? Or I could say it with my underlying intention that there is like a beneath stream of intentions that the audience doesn't perceive in the beginning, but then all of a sudden, when I say a line that says something like, "Hey, great to see you," and you mean something else, right? You go into the opposite direction of what you actually said with the line. This is what a subtext is. And to have, sometimes delivered and conveyed a message like he's doing, like Jerry Seinfeld is doing, right from the start, that is putting up like this double meaning type of standard. So give you immediately the idea that we're dealing with sometimes with metaphors, abstractions, that we're talking about stories, comparisons, examples, and all that. And so therefore, he wants to give you an idea where this is going, that you can trust him with that.
Unless it's those heavy wooden doors at the West Union, those will kill you. Let go of this idea that you have to find this one great thing that is my passion, my great passion, with your shirt torn open and your heaving pec muscles. It's embarrassing.
Interesting. Now he's dismantling number one, forget about your passion. What is that? Speaking of acting, anyone checked out Mr. Bertram? No, what is that? I watch it because a YouTuber brought us at anti-gaming with us. All I can say, it wasn't severe, but it was still okay. I will check it out later. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I see what you mean. No, it's it's interesting what he's doing here is like it's dismantling immediately that thing that, oh, you need your passion, you need to find your why, otherwise you can't start. Is like, hey, stop doing that, right? Just immediately kind of go to work and start doing something that gives you a reflection, that gives you something to think about, that gives you an immediate response and feedback, and you can use that feedback instead of searching for something. Use your time in a more wise manner. It's interesting how he kind of puts that in right from the start.
Just be willing to do your work as hard as you can with the ability you have. We don't need the heavy breathing and the outstretched arm from your passion.
And this is also the first time when he introduced this argument, right? To kind of dismantle this idea that you need to be passionate about something in order to be successful or good at it, or even enjoy it for what it's worth. No, this is also the first time he really used gestures, right? For the first time in a very strong manner. He really wanted to emphasize this. This is truly important. He set an example that also with his, like, in comparison to what he did before, this thing, right? I'm just skipping gag. I know this is slightly unelegant, but look at this.
Just be willing to do your work as hard as you can with the ability you have.
Over here. Sorry.
Your life. Unless it's those heavy wooden doors at the West Union, those will kill you.
Right, that's what he said.
Let go of this idea that you have to find this one great thing.
You see, let go of this one. Now he's finding, now he's opening up big time. Interesting.
That is my passion.
And now he also almost cracked, and he actually cracked up with the voice, right? With passion, which is truly important. So he was triggered by that. You can tell that there's a lot of reminiscence of old, talks and conversations when you argue with someone talking about this, right? He definitely clashed with people. So this is really authentic because this crack gave away that he's triggered and emotionally attached to it because of maybe a strong argument, something that happened.
My great passion with your shirt torn open.
Shirt torn open, right? He's almost aggressive here, right? Almost violently going on. Beautiful.
And your heaving pec muscles. It's embarrassing.
Get over it. It's embarrassing. Stop doing that everything. And they start to look around if this is well received or not. He seems now a bit more concerned here in the back on the right. Very funny. Very interesting. Yeah, so he could use some improvement for sure. I mean, I'm being, yeah, absolutely. With this, Winsinger did enjoy Mr. Bircham a little bit. Do I have issues with it? Yeah, and those issues are anti-gaming rhetoric, and Brad Cooper's voice acting. Yeah, so I think when it comes down to gaming, and you know what, this may be, we will catch up on that on a later conversation, because if we start with that, I think it's a rabbit hole in itself. And we talk about this also Saturday night a lot, so let's stick to that, because I know if I start, it's gonna it's gonna go somewhere.
Just be willing to do your work.
And that's gonna be dirty, believe me. You don't want to go there, no. No, but again, I think what he said there in the beginning, how he set up the argument, and already he's dismantling, some of the rhetorical things that we hear about, today's agenda of working but not really working, right? And it's okay if you haven't found your passion and don't start. All these excuses to not really putting in effort, and being also good with failures, and accepting the fact that everybody has to make mistakes and to fall, learn, implement, repeat. It's that sometimes it's not stupid. I wouldn't say stupid, but it's banal, right? It's just this endless repetition. Sometimes it's pattern recognition, getting smarter with something, realizing what your mistakes are. This is also what we say over here at the COACHMC studio, guys. This is why never forget to subscribe, because here you get educational content served in an entertaining shell, right? It's slightly more funny than the usual gray matter stuff that you get, at those universities. It's really, this is an entertaining hull for you guys. and also a community for you to network, to understand each other. Come over also to our masterclasses. Don't forget, because these are great opportunities to kind of exchange with each other and seeing that you're not alone on this planet. We all have that ultimate, genuine wish to be recognized, to do stuff that we enjoy. And this is, I think, what Jerry Seinfeld is aiming at also in this commencement address for Duke University this year.
Work as hard as you can with the ability you have. We don't need the heavy breathing and the outstretched arm from your passion. It makes coworkers uncomfortable in the cubicle next to you. Find fascination. Fascination is way better than passion. It's not so sweaty.
But I think it's something true here. Like when you're fascinated by something, even if that's something that you had never, even if it's something that you would have never thought of, that this could be intriguing to you, it doesn't matter. Or to think of, hey, what should other people think of me if now I'm intrigued by something like this, right? I mean, just be fascinated by something. Just be really attracted to something that already, maybe it's your subconscious telling you that you should pursue that, right? Maybe, and I truly believe in that. Sometimes we suppress, neglect, or just simply ignore our instincts. And I mean this really, like, even as a coach, when you watch sometimes, and myself, I don't take myself out of the reflection here, right? I can state so many times, I have a hunch, I don't do it. And then it's probably Alessandra, my wife, telling me, why didn't you do this? And it's like, oh, I thought about that. It's like, why didn't you do it? I don't know. I thought you wouldn't like it. It's like, don't care about me, just do it, right? Or don't care about if it's right or wrong, just do it. Be fascinated about it and do it.
I will give you my 3 real keys to life, no jokes in this part.
So, and this can't be a coincidence. This is all timed. Look at this. This is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a video clip time. Perfectly timed intro speech. He gained your trust. He made you laugh. He already gave you some nuggets to think of. He already kind of invaded your psyche a little bit by telling you, hey, these guys here, they're already thinking of exchanging you. So there's already competition coming into the game. So you better wake up. So he's already playing a little bit subconsciously with them. And now, after 3 minutes, he's introducing 3 keys, right? Even more interesting. So he's playing again. I don't believe that's a coincidence. This is all trained. This is all written. This is all rehearsed. He knows exactly what he's doing. So this is where we can learn. And why do I always say 3 is the number, guys? We have so many videos on our channel where we talk about the importance of placing in your speech, in your acting, when you're arguing, even in of course, also in real private life, when you have a counter argument with someone, when you try to convince someone of your point, when it's truly crucial that someone believes you and you feel like that person has higher authority than you or higher status than you, what you need to do is you have to sustain your argument with 3 sub-arguments, with 3 exemplifications, 3 explanations on why that initial argument is a valid one. If you do this, the trick that you play on the reptilian center of the counterpart's brain is deadly, right? In a good way, in a positive way, because this is how our reptilian center likes to get information fed. And 3 little, sizable chunks to kind of get into the rhythm. This is why this speech took only 3 minutes and 30 seconds so far to set the intro for the main speech now. This is why Coca-Cola can is 0.333 milliliters. This is why vinyl has 33 1/3 of grooves inside, right? These are the numbers of grooves of a vinyl. Or think about 33 being the number of the death of Jesus, or the Trinity in itself, Father, Mother, Son. Thinking of being the triangle, the first platonic solid that comes into the 3rd dimension, So, Trismegistus, I mean, it could go on and on and on. You know me, guys. Number 3 is elemental. In screenwriting, like when you go to a playwright school, like a screenwriting school, film school, they will tell you, if you have 3 beats, that makes a hit. What does that mean? When you write lines for someone replying to someone else, or setting up an argument, a dialogue for an acting scene, or even in a monologue, it works, right? Always try to put the sentence in itself in 3 beats, have 3 beats for the sentence, or the reply being made of 3 lines, 3, singular sentences, because they say 3 beats make a hit. It's just the way our brain works. It's just the rhythm that we like to hear. 3 beats make a hit, right? This is what kind of melody creates memory. Rhythm gives us the traction. And so therefore, if you combine these factors, if you have the right melody and the right rhythm, you will never forget the song anymore. This is why we can remember songs for 30, 40 years, even 50 years. And sometimes we forget, some other essential names of our lives. This is crazy. The number 3 is a rabbit hole in itself, guys. Creative community, research it, go into this, because it will make your life, your performance, everything easier, believe me. So after 3 minutes and 30 seconds, this is where the real speech starts. And he's set up majestically, very elegantly, fluently, non-threatening, because the reptilian center doesn't like threats. It doesn't like too complicated issue or topics. He's setting up everything in a nice, breezy tone. He used gestures in a very smart way, very effective, very punctuate. In a way, like very punctual also when he did it, to kind of exemplify something important, to put in some more dynamic. He started with a little gesture that was very decisive and very active, and then it went to bigger gestures. So he increased also, the tonality of his gestures. Even there, very nice played. And now he's actually starting the speech.
Okay, they are, number 1, bust your ass. Number 2, pay attention. Number 3, fall in love.
Very interesting. Bust your ass, pay attention, fall in love. Now, I don't want to go into weird directions right now, but if you think of, bust your ass is work. Pay attention means focus, and love means passion. Now, if you bring this down, this is how you get initiated. Right? Like if you have a fraternity, if you have some sort of a community, right? You always have to pledge 3 vows. You stand for 3 adjectives. You have 3 things you will be known for. You have 3 attributes that describe you the best. All these things. Again, there is no coincidence here.
Number 1, you obviously already know, whatever you're doing, I don't care if it's your job, your hobby, a relationship, getting a reservation at M Sushi, make an effort. Just
make an effort, right? Just make an effort. Whatever it is, make an effort. Make it better. Make an effort.
Pure, stupid, no real idea what I'm doing here, effort. Effort always yields a positive value, even if the outcome of the effort is absolute failure of the desired result.
Interesting. So even if the desired result wasn't achieved, it's still worth pursuing it, because in the end, making an effort makes you better and not achieving the result. This is nicely delivered, Jerry Seinfeld. Great stuff. Bust your ass. What he does there is he uses a strong language. Bust your ass could be vulgar, could be offensive. It's definitely something that he wants. At 3 minutes, at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Welcome to this public speaking announcement. Hey, this is the COACHMC studio. I got a YouTube channel, but I can't talk, unfortunately. So after 3 minutes and 30 seconds, he starts to use this like strong language. Bust your ass. Again, that's a 3-folded pattern, first of all. But it's a pattern that is definitely followed by an exclamation mark, right? That bust your ass. That's a very strong title. For, the context. Always think of, look how ridiculously he is dressed. And he addressed that also, right? So look at this. So he knows exactly that bust your ass is to wake people up. After 3 minutes and 30 seconds, he wants to make sure that they are following him again, right? That they are not losing him, because now he has 12 minutes where he needs to shine. 15 minutes in total. After 3 minutes and 30 seconds, he starts with the main part. Do you think that's a coincidence again? So now we have 12 minutes ahead of us, and these are 4 chunks of 3-minute long arguments. This is how a comedian, a stand-up, someone whose, you know, job public speaking is, would also place it down. You have 4 pillar topics, and there are columns of different things that you want to say. You have your bullet points inside of those topics, of those columns, right? And then you kind of, you know, go through them and rehearse them. And so this is already, he's mapping out strategically how he wants to, you know, follow up, right, on this intro. Nice.
This is a rule of life. Just swing the bat and pray is not a bad approach to a lot of things.
Very good, right? Just do it. Just do it. Just swing the bat. Let's see what happens. Don't be so preoccupied with the outcome. It's the effort that you have to make. Really good.
Number 2, pay attention. If you're in a small submersible that looks like a giant kazoo and going to visit the Titanic, 7 miles down at the bottom of the ocean, and the captain of the vessel is using a Game Boy controller, pay attention to that.
It's interesting. It's desecrating, but it's interesting. He plays it in there. It makes sense. He's waking people up. He's bringing a good joke, but he's also making a point. Again, he's light. He's funny. He has a good voice. He delivers it nicely. He's serious. He's effective. And he's also teaching you something. And that's really interesting. Whether you like it, whether you think it's great teachings, but definitely it's good advice. And good advice is teaching, guys. You know, there is this quote by Bruce Lee. If you teach to a fool, he will start an argument with you. If you teach a wise man, he will appreciate you and say thank you, right? The wise man knows exactly. Even the wise man knows when it's good stuff, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. The source doesn't matter. Right? It's good stuff. I accept it. I say thank you. And only the fool can see it as a competition. Oh, I said the smarter thing. No, I said this. But no, I said it even. No, just accept it. Right? And so what he's saying here, Jerry Seinfeld is like, first of all, boss your ass. Right? It's just have an approach of swinging the bat. Be curious. Let's see. Let's go. And then pay attention. And when he says pay attention, he makes, of course, like a nice joke about the Titanic and the submarine that went there. I don't know if you're, you know, aware of what happened there. It seems like, you know, it's still like a very strange mystery. To me, maybe we'll talk in open class doodles about it. I don't really buy the official story about the Titanic and the submarine. That was this exploration submarine for tourists that went there. And like a chain of very stupid things happened. And this is why this whole thing kind of, you know, it was a catastrophe, a huge accident, and everybody died. I don't know if you... yes, that's true. You need to prioritize and more the effort itself and paying attention to what, you know, it's that. Make it with a culture of work. It doesn't matter what you do. Be always intentional to deliver what's necessary and above that to the moment. And you will see there will always and just great things coming out of that. Even if you feel like, I give you a good example. I think I can give you a good example. Imagine you're, I don't know, regular person, or maybe like you're a big star. Let's say you're a big star. You're sitting at home, there's your best friend calling you. And he's telling you, hey, I would never call you. I know you're super busy, you're this big star and whatever, but I got this restaurant and I don't have a single waiter. My agency left me. Nobody wants to come in. And today I have this huge guest and please, you need to help me. I know this is crazy asking you, but I don't know anyone else. Nobody else is in town. Please help me. And you think, what the fuck? I don't have anything to do anyways. And you go there, right? And you help out. Now, there are 2 ways of helping out. If you feel like, you know, how, you know, you help out and you're just like, okay, just by being here already, that helps you out. So I just do it. Or you're helping out as if today will be the last day on planet Earth. And you know exactly that you need to deliver the very, very best effort that you can, just because it's worth it. And all of a sudden, you're doing that instead of just executing and just of doing soulless work. You do now work that is gifted, that has purpose, that is full of effort and appreciation of the moment. And it turns out that the very important guest for this restaurant is a very important producer in Hollywood, and you are making a lot of impact and a huge impression on him. And then you're telling him by the end of the night, by the way, I'm not a waiter, because he asks you like who you are. And it's like, no, I'm just helping out a good friend who has no waiters, and so I thought I'd chip in. And he's like really even more impressed and humbled maybe by what you just did, and he offers you a part. This is like some sort of example that like, try to do the stuff that you're not even supposed to do in the best way possible. And you will see, you will find unexpected outcome from the most incredible sources that will make you, that will acknowledge you and recognize you.
What are you checking out down there? Oh, I see what happened. This ship sank.
I think it's also like Titanic is also, again, a psychological game a little bit that he's playing. Of course, when he's taking you down at the second, bust your ass, right? Very straightforward, very work, blue collar style type of argument, very hard knuckles, understandable, rough and around the edges, super cool, comes across, immediately get this is one style. The second argument is deep down. It's submerged. It's Titanic. It's underwater. It's beneath the surface. It's more subconscious. It's something else. He wants to bring you to another level. So he starts with a joke about the Titanic and the submarine. So you see what he's doing there? So the one, bust your ass is, if you want to define it in color, maybe you have like a blue color. Now you have deep blue. Blue and red. Does this ring a bell? Look at all American logos. 80% of all American, like big companies, big logos, blue and red, blue and red, blue and red, blue and red. So it's interesting how he plays with these psychological elements as well. Again, and you can see, relaxed demeanor, he's controlling the crowd. Now everybody's laughing. In the beginning, there were some people that had like a couple of thoughts, but now everybody's on his side.
Now I understand why it never made it into port. If the fish where you are have eyes like Shelley Duvall and a bendy straw with a work light hanging off their head, you do not belong there. If the fish are going, I can't see a goddamn thing, you won't either. Number 3, fall in love.
It's interesting, right? After you've been submerged, pay attention to the details, to things that are also obvious, right? Don't get fooled by someone who's, and if the one in the environment is not doing it, then you should not do it at all, right? So don't be so entitled to think that you can control all the situations. Sometimes you can't. So don't put yourself into situations where you can't control and your life depends on people who are not paying attention. That is a fatal flaw, my friend. That's absolutely stupid, right? And that's also a very interesting lesson to learn. Thank you again. This is very nicely played and greatly executed. Third key to a successful life: fall in love. Fall in love when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. That's amore. When the sun seems to shine like you had too much wine, you're in love. Hey, J. Jr. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and they sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippa-tippa-tay, like a game tarantella. Lucky fella.
Easy to fall in love with people. I suggest falling in love with anything and everything, every chance you get.
He's saying, like, don't fall just in love with people. Fall in love with everything. Fall in love even with the work. Fall in love with everything. Try to appreciate everything.
Fall in love with your coffee, your sneakers, your blue zone parking space.
Don't take him for too granted. Fall in love with this stuff. I mean, like, they're covering you. They are, they're giving you protection. They're outfitting you. And she in the back, and she's also, again, from big laughter. Again, they are a bit concerned. It's like, where is he going with this?
Space. I've had a lot of fun in life, falling in love with stupid, meaningless physical objects. The object I love the most is the clear barrel Bic pen, $1.29 for a box of 10. I can fall in love with a car turn signal switch that has a nice feel to it, a pizza crust that collapses with just the right amount of pressure. I have truly spent my life focusing on the smallest things imaginable, completely oblivious to all the big issues of living.
Interesting. Very interesting. Appreciating stuff more, falling in love. I hope it didn't make it a Pizzagate reference there. No, I don't think so, no. I think he was truly talking about the simplicity of the pizza crust and kind of smashing it with your fingers, like falling in love with these juicy little moments, right? It's not lowering your expectations, but I think just being more grateful for you being already alive and kind of, experiencing this beautiful life.
Find something where you love the good parts and don't mind the bad parts too much.
That's very good, right? That's very good. Find something where you have 75% of where you say, hey, I'm totally okay with these 75, 80%. I love everything about that. Couple of parts I don't like, but overall, this is good, right? There is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is fascism. There is no such thing as perfection. Everything needs a flaw in order for us to fall in love.
The torture you're comfortable with. This is the golden path to victory in life. Work, exercise, relationships, they all have a solid component of pure torture, and they are all 1,000% worth it. Privilege is a word that has taken quite a beating lately.
Interesting, right? So this is all a torture. Of course it's a torture. There's no way of getting around it. But when you find something, you fall in love with it, and you work and endlessly, refine and refurb it, and you stick with it, and then this work, life, love balance will get you through the process. In the end, of course, everything can be hard. Everything is in a way demanding. Everything is a challenge. There is no such life as without any challenges, right? He wants to make that clear. But that's also the beauty of it.
Privilege today seems to be...
And then, of course, he introduces immediately after that bold statement. No one clapped. It was pretty quiet because he said something so beautiful. Find something where you love the good parts and you don't mind the bad parts too much, right? Again, there is of course he's a comedian, but he's trying to give you this blueprint of how you should view, what kind of tendency you should have towards life and with all of its problems. Try to take everything with a pinch of salt.
The worst thing you can have. I would like to take a moment to defend it. Again, a lot of you are thinking,
now he's defending privilege.
I can't believe they invited this guy.
I think he means it serious. Like I said in the beginning, his demeanor, everything, his physical, he was not 100% sure about his reception, mostly.
I say, use your privilege. I grew up a Jewish boy from New York. That is a privilege if you want to be a comedian.
Yes, it is okay. Use a Stavros Batras. We have a comedian here. Well, what a coincidence. This is our Greek comedian, Stavros Batras. He's from the Comedy Factory, from the Laugh Factory in LA also. And we shot a beautiful interview for Talks on Acting a couple of weeks ago. And Stavros, I hadn't the chance so far to reach out to you. But when we exported it out of StreamYard into our system, I don't know why, my good friend, but the audio is really bad. I can tell you it doesn't work. We can't upload this stuff to YouTube. It happened somehow through the compression from StreamYard to the file so we could upload it on YouTube. I don't know where exactly, but it's irreversible. But it's really too bad because the conversation that Stavros had, that we had together was a great one. And when you're back in LA, when you're settled, when you're good, when you have your setup ready, we will shoot a new one, my friend, that will definitely work better from the audio. But thanks so much, man. A comedian stopping by. This couldn't be. I mean, this is great narrative. I swear we haven't talked about this.
Thanks.
He seems really surprised. It's like, oh yeah, I want to get you back a second because I think this is a very interesting segment here. This is his masterpiece gets created here. So far, of course, beautifully executed. Introduced the 3 keys after 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Executed them after 3 minutes again. Or no, 2.5 minutes, right? So we're at 6 minutes at 2 sections of 3. Interesting how that works out. Now he comes to so far the program is going good. Now he comes to the other aspect of this, where it gets, I think, more. Yeah, I know, but he wants to introduce it as a more personal concept, right? Because he said, I was afraid in the beginning of being here how I could receive it. He openly admitted it, but that's very interesting that he kind of closed the circle also there on the 6-minute mark.
Privilege is a word that has taken quite a beating lately. Privilege today seems to be the worst thing you can have. I would like to take a moment to defend it. Again, a lot of you are thinking,
Stavros, maybe we can upload we tried that. Didn't really work, man. I'm fortunate. I'm sorry. It's truly like, believe me, we tried many things, a lot of options, but it happened in the beginning once, but not in such a bad way. And so we thought, oh, no, but it's really unsavable. We'll do it again, man. Thank you. Likewise.
I can't believe they invited this guy. Too late. I say, use your privilege. I grew up a Jewish boy from New York. That is a privilege if you want to be a comedian. Thanks. If I messed up a funny story around my relatives, they would go, that's not how you tell that joke.
Interesting, right? Now, like I said, he completed the mission with the first 6 minutes, and now he's introducing a personal topic. Now he's referring to himself, way more is going into his past. When you do that, when you take people into your history, right, you kind of, letting them, even closer to you, want them to really trust you, to really feel you, getting your vibe. And so it's interesting how he's also the gestures that he's holding here, right? I'm holding you, welcome. It's nice to have, don't worry, like, come in, right? He's truly preaching, and he wants people to really, drive his track. Great.
The prostitute has to be behind the drapes when the wife comes in.
And he makes fun of his own people, so that, again, it builds even more trust, right? He kind of desecrates even the teacher. It doesn't matter, right? He wants you to be on his side, to trust him, and to ride this train with him till the final station.
You went to Duke. That is an unbelievable privilege. I now have an honorary doctorate of humane letters degree from Duke University. And if I can figure out a way to use that, I will.
Of course, right? Don't be, afraid of telling people who you are. Take your advantage that you've created for yourself and use it.
I haven't figured anything out yet. I think it's pretty much as useful in real life as this outfit I'm wearing.
Again, making fun of himself and kind of also desecrating a little bit the institution he's speaking for, and so therefore kind of, gaining more and more trust of the audience.
But so what? I'll take it. My point is we're embarrassed about things we should be proud of and proud of things we should be embarrassed about.
We're proud of things we should be embarrassed of, and we're embarrassed of things we should be proud of, and proud of things we should be embarrassed about. Right, that is good. And superficially, you could just say, well, yeah, of course, it's a very smart remark, right? It's talking about, the things that we're experiencing right now in media and culture, sociologically, all that stuff. But I think there's a double meaning, like a deeper meaning to that. Because what does it mean to say, we were embarrassed about things we should be proud of, and proud of things we should be embarrassed about? When he's saying that, he actually means, guys, please realize The pyramid has been turned, has been flipped upside down, 180 degrees. You know, it's not tilted anymore. It's completely flipped. The scale of value has been completely, usurpated, right? The throne has been, the king has lost his throne. This is what he likes to tell us here. So privilege, when you fight for it and you build it and you work for it, it's not something you should be embarrassed of, as well as of the values that brought you here. So it's don't question those. Don't get this whole thing flipped. He's saying that.
When I was writing my TV series,
where, back in the days, now he's referring to him before he actually became hugely and wildly incredibly famous, up to a point where NBC offered him $5 million for one episode. Yes, you heard that right. $5 million for one episode. And he turned it down, by the way, because he said that he cherished his freedom, liberty, and peace of mind at this point, because at a certain point he was truly like a super mega galactic star, and he was cherishing his private sphere at this point more than being out there on the channel, even if that means turning down $5 million, which kind of shows character. You have to give him credit for that.
Thanks.
Again, he seems truly surprised a bit.
What a crowd. So
he's also sighing and laughing a little bit. I want to get through this little part again so we can really fully appreciate what he's done there, because it's truly important. He's really he is actually now flipping the pyramid. And you can see what I mean in a bit.
Duke University. And if I can figure out a way to use that, I will. I haven't figured anything out yet. I think it's pretty much as useful in real life as this outfit I'm wearing. But so what? I'll take it. My point is we're embarrassed about things we should be proud of, and proud of things we should be embarrassed about. When I was writing my TV series, thanks. What a crowd. So on my staff in the
that was true relief. He was really surprised.
90s, we had a lot of Harvard guys. They were fantastic, but I could never understand why these guys were so embarrassed about being from Harvard. They would never talk about it. They would never mention it. I'm not talking about Harvard now. I'm talking about the way it used to be.
Interesting, right? Is he pointing at the Ivy colleges, at the Ivy, at the Ivy places as these great American institutions that in the last years have been also co-opted by the agenda? Because he's definitely also aiming at the agenda, right, guys? I mean, he's definitely aiming at the woke agenda. If it's for him, I don't know if Jerry Seinfeld really identifies like addressing them as the wokies or anything. He just thinks probably that this is right now the style of things, and he's a bit concerned, you can tell, right? And these interviews that he's also released before this commencement address for Duke University this year, 2024, he appeared in these smaller pieces of talk shows where he kind of threw that argument in, that he was a little bit irritated about the pronoun things, about a lot of things about this culture, and checking the boxes, and the creativity is stifled. So I think when they offered him this, or maybe he even arranged it, who knows, right? That he could, give this crowd like the speech. He couldn't wait to do this. I feel like he really wanted to do this. He was really excited about, because he thought about giving these young people some guidance to not fall for what I think he believes is a trap.
You're never going to believe this. Harvard used to be a great place to go to school. Now it's Duke. You didn't.
Yeah, I think there is some critique there for sure.
Fake your fabulous education. You earned it. Be proud of it. Don't just drop it on people right before you serve in pickleball. Okay, Duke 24 coming at you. But if it comes up, if someone asks, don't say it looking down, stubbing your toe in the dirt.
Interesting, right? He's building up the speech nicely. He really controls the crowd. He waits for reactions. He implements them sometimes, but he's really navigating this, again, really skillful, really elegantly, really, He knows what he's doing. Again, if I compare this to what we experienced yesterday, guys, I can't even start to tell you, because I don't want to go on rants, about stuff. This is also why we don't do the usual movie reviews because first of all, I'm not good at criticizing like harshly other people's work, especially from the same field of work where I know how hard it is to kind of come up with that effort, right? Even though, of course, the artistic result, as well as I get, criticized when I play somewhere, other people have to be okay with it being criticized as well. I don't take myself out of that type of equation. But the bashing, I'm just not good at it, right? So I'm not really skilled but sometimes, when we do these types of analysis here, of course, we're always looking at the skills. We're looking always at the skillfulness, at the elegance of the execution of how everything was done, and if there were any bumps or anything that major happened. And we evaluate all that automatically. Even as an audience, guys, we are very selective. We are very picky. We are very, spoiled, of course, because, we're here in this country. We had the best entertainment on this planet for, I would say nearly 90 years, right? Of course, Spain was always producing cool movies, and China, Hong Kong, and all these places. Yes, but we dominated the market for so long, and this is more and more, this fortress is crumbling, which in the end is part of the evolution of any culture. And it's okay. It's not about you need to dominate in order to be happy, but you need to be so like objectively and intellectually honest about when you're missing the mark, when you're missing the point, when you are not delivering good material. Because I truly believe in that, and I show that. Like over here, we do discovery sessions for free. Nobody has to pay for a discovery session. After a discovery session with me in the studio, but with all modesty, you can already take away. And this is normal. Like if you go to any coach, like any type of reflection, even if the coach that you have is not really good, that type of reflection already to understand, all right, he's judging me from a point of view where I feel artistically I'm superior. So already that gives you insight. Already that is healthy. So you can already pay for that. Everything is an impression that ultimately, potentially can lead to an improvement, right? So thus said, if you come over, to the COACHMC studio, I make sure to make an effort, like Jerry Seinfeld said, and every audition, every discovery session in here is already something you can take away. You can definitely take away some gold nuggets for your own job. So even if you don't kind of book the course, there's already some like value that you take out of the exploration here at the COACHMC studio. So definitely, guys, if you're from the Miami area, also, if you guys want to work on your self-tapes, if you want to work on maybe changing your style a little bit, your brand, of going into different directions with your value proposition, make sure to come over. Just hit me up, readytoperform.com. 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 Ready to perform. .com. Ready to perform.com. Right? So come over to readytoperform.com. Hit me up for a discovery session. If we find out, like whatever, just let me know what your mission is. And if we discover that we're a great match for each other, let's work together, right? We have courses for your monologues, for public speakers, for actors, for self-tapes, for everything. Let's have fun. Just saying. I'm just saying. Don't tell me later I haven't warned you earlier.
When someone asks, where'd you go to school? You say, I went to Duke. Watch them take that uncomfortable, hard swallow.
Yes, nice, slightly aggressive, slightly pressed with the voice, right? He really wanted to make a statement here. Also to wake people up almost at the 8:30 mark. Very good. And he did.
AI, on the other hand, is the most
interesting. So after privilege, he's introducing AI. So he gives you 3 very essential keys first for success after having made a great very elegant intro and desecrating a little bit the institution he's speaking for and not making it all about the students by showing them also the irony of life. And now he's bringing the, from the past, he's taking you to the present, and now he's showing you the future, how you will survive. So first of all, accept the privilege, accept who you are, don't complain. You have worked for this, and don't give other credits for stuff that they haven't achieved where it's you hiding your true potential. And now he's starting to talk about AI, which is really interesting by the end, because again, he takes people also into a contemporary issue that's been discussed right now. It's one of those really hot topics. So he's not only waking them up at 8:30 mark, but he's also adding up to the fire something that is like trending, something that young people also discuss a lot. Tech is something that young people practice. They have it in their hand. They are biocarbonatic organisms everywhere he's looking at right now, Jerry Seinfeld. So smart move also, like from the timing standpoint. The timing is perfect, I feel, to introduce that. It's again a topic also that, you know, lets you wake up and gain a bit more focus, and something that you can relate to, so you feel more interested. And definitely kind of, you know, this is the finisher of this of this main body of delivery that he had in mind.
Most embarrassing thing we've ever invented in mankind's time on Earth. Oh, so you can't do the work. Is that what you're telling me? You can't figure it out? This seems to be the justification of AI. I couldn't do it. This is something to be embarrassed about.
Yes, very interesting. It's like, oh, I can't do it, so I get help from someone else, and he, you know, does it for me. This is embarrassing. Figure it out. Figure it out yourself. This is how you get smarter. Don't take AI or take any other excuse. Oh, I can't do it. This is like, he wants to tell you, this is just laziness. Using this stuff is just laziness.
The ad campaign for ChatGPT should be the opposite of Nike. You just can't do it.
Right. Therefore, he's, you know, of course, he takes away the weapons from the human mind, right? If the human mind stops figuring out stuff, then the human mind stops, you know, improving, and therefore new synapses can't be built, and therefore we will get more stupid, and, you know, then we will degenerate. Our cerebral, you know, output will degenerate in terms of quality and output over time, and we don't want that, right? It's just not a good strategy if we want to survive as a species.
Making fake brains is risky. Frankenstein proved that.
After Titanic and the sea beneath, now he's going to Frankenstein. Very interesting. So biogenesis, AI, a very, very interesting field of what he's touching upon.
So dumb, he thought a monster needed a sport jacket. It's not a wine tasting. We're terrorizing villagers. No one's going to tell you, I'm sorry, Mr. Stein, it's jackets only this evening.
Stein, right? Very cool. Very, very interesting.
What I like is we're smart enough to invent AI, dumb enough to need it, and still so stupid we can't figure out if we did the right thing.
Again, 3 beats make a hit. Very good.
Making work easier, this is the problem. So
making work easier, 1, 2, 3. This is the problem. Okay, 4, but you get the idea, right? It's interesting how he uses that.
Obsessed with getting to the answer, completing the project, producing a result, which are
getting the answer, completing the project, and getting a result. 1, 2, 3.
All valid things, but
all valid things.
Not where the richness of the human experience lies.
So again, it's technically incredibly well executed, and it also carries and transports a message. Again, something that completely was like absent yesterday. I was really shocked. I didn't really expect much from the TED Talk in itself. Like I said, we know exactly the TED Talk have suffered a little bit, a lack of quality, impact, and impulses in the last years. They have been more like, yes, a prestigious and definitely good event. I mean, it was well organized. You can't say anything. I mean, good people also there. Most of the crowd were interesting folks. But, you know, kind of matching that. Come on, we're in Miami. This is one of the cities right now in the world. You have to match that. You have to come up with great presentations. You have to come up with skillfulness. Because to me, being an artist on stage means also to respect the crowd. They took time out of their schedule, out of their life. They are giving me their most precious thing. So to me, it is an absolute honor, but also it is an absolute vow. It's a pledge that I make, that I have to exercise in a way that these people get something, that they will receive something also from me. It's not just my presence, it's the way I communicate, how I am and who I am. And I felt like yesterday, these people really, maybe they were so nervous, but most of the time I felt like they were disconnected to the context, disconnected to the narrative, to their stories. It was just content, right? It was just content that was thrown out without any dynamic, with any elegance, with any impact. That wasn't conveying anything other than mundane things that we know already, but no real teachings, nothing that you can really reflect upon and really, kind of marinate a little bit cerebrally, like, oh, okay, like stuff that trickles down. Jerry Seinfeld said in these 9 minutes, and 40 seconds, things that people should really think about. And even if you think this is banal, again, talking to a bright crowd, conveying messages, being funny, controlling your speech and the audience, and knowing exactly what you do is a difficult thing. And over here at the COACHMC studio, we want to learn. We want to get better. And this is how we get better, by really studying and dissecting communication, by really kind of understanding these weapons and these tools, psychological tools, technical tools, and narratives tools.
The only two things you ever need to pay attention to in life are work and love. Things that are self-justified in the experience, and who cares about the result?
Very good, right? Fuck the result. Do the work, make the effort, love what you do, love your next, be a good person, think right, say right, act right.
Stop rushing to what you perceive as some valuable endpoint. Learn to enjoy the expenditure of energy that may or may not be on the correct path.
May or may not be on the correct path. It's the energy that you put in and to learn from what you do. And it's not so much about this is valuable through the result. This already gets, this already gets nobled by your effort, by the presence of your effort. This already gets, has a meaning because of the way you're doing it, not because of what you're achieving with it.
Now, if you have been at this amazing place for 4 years and still have no idea what you like, what you're interested in, or what you want to do in life, you are the luckiest ones here. Those of you that think you know what you want to do are very likely wrong, and perhaps even overestimating your ability to do it.
It's also,
you have convinced yourself that you know who you are.
It's also interesting to say, this is all what matters, man. It's work and love. This is all what it is. There is no identity. There is no millions of spectrums of some translucent ectoplasmic essence of which I'm not belonging to in some interstellar umbilical cord type of way. There is just work. The effect of your actions. Just do that. That is your identity, and not some imaginative friend that you carry around. That is effective. That is helpful to society. This is what makes us as a collective better. This helps the world to survive. And stop thinking in a postmodern way that the result is defining your identity. It's not. It's the way of getting to that result that, characterizes you. And this is also how we play our characters every day, guys. This is what we cherish. When we know we have someone important in front of us, it's because usually we respect that person for what he stands for, what he has achieved. We don't always need to be fans of something. It's this black and white polarity existing nowadays, and it's being perpetrated and perpetuated and kind of distributed all over the globe of saying, hey, this is, if you're not measured by these standards, then you're not valuable. It's not true. We carry small and big things inside of us that are super valuable. We just sometimes are afraid to express them because we think that our status matters more than our actions. No, that's not true. The status can be achieved through many things, but what really matters is what you make out of your time, and that you can only define through work and not through the imaginative state. The imaginative state can help to make your work better, for sure. This is what it's called when you use your imagination, your fantasy, your, the source of inspiration. When you can channel the forces of the muses into your action, by all means. And this is what an artist, stands and thrives on, right? This is what we do. We get connected to that field. I'm not saying that it is wrong. I'm just saying that if you use it just to defend a presumptuous ideological idea of how art should perceived, and instead of creating that art first and making yourself kind of vulnerable in the process of accepting all types of criticism. Guys, this is what art is. When you create art, you display it and it gets perceived. When it gets perceived, people will have most likely an opinion on it. And if they don't, then something is wrong with your art, right? They should have an opinion on it. And believe me, guys, I have also received bad press in my life, and it hurts, but it's part of the game. And sometimes people attack me also openly in media and press, and people were saying, really, really bad things about me sometimes. And you just, flat out lied about certain facts and twisted certain episodes in a way that they were looking favorable in the eye of the press, just to discredit me for, I don't know which reasons. Honestly, it doesn't really interest me. I don't care about that. I care about the quality of my work. I don't get fooled by the distractions. This is why also, so far, I got offered some commercial deals that I've always turned down. It's not that I wasn't in an ad. Of course, if you hire me as an actor, I will be in your ad. Ding dong. Not for Pfizer, though. Not for Pfizer, though, but otherwise, yes. I'm an actor. I'm a prostitute. But I have never endorsed something as a private, as Lorenzo. I've never endorsed anything. And they offered me deals. But I always turned them down, because to me, it's a weird thing. I don't feel like endorsing something if I'm really not believing in it. So far, no company has offered me anything that I was really believing in. And so therefore, I was turning down money. But I kept humility and also some dignity, right, for myself, which is far more important and far more valuable, also in terms of pequeña, right, in the future, right? Through that, I will preserve way more value instead of accepting a fair amount of small value in order to sacrifice my most valuable asset. That wouldn't make any sense. Welcome to another public service announcement.
And what's going on in the world? You don't know either. The less secure and confident you feel in the direction, the more surprises and excitement you will have in store. That's good. So the better the job you've done in finding a path for yourself, the more boring and predictable your life is going to be. If you're sitting here today completely confused, feeling lost, adrift, and totally abandoned, you might even be a G. I say, congratulations. You win the Duke commencement ceremonies of 2024. You are about to go on a hell of a ride.
Very good. Interesting, right? Now, this is his final transition. He comes to the final part at 11:11. Interesting. No, a little bit before that. At roughly 11 minutes, right? After that, the mark, again, 2 minutes and a half. Interesting. His sections, 2.5 usually long, almost 3 minutes. He's always in that ballpark. Interesting. He has a very, you can tell, right? This is his beat. This is his rhythm. Of course, he's 70, like you said, 70 years old. He always, incredible that this guy is 70 years old.
About work, you know how they always say nobody ever looks back on their life and wishes they spent more time at the office? Well, why? Why don't they? Guess what? Depends on the job. If you took a stupid job that you find out you hate and you don't leave, that's your fault. Don't blame work. Work is wonderful. I definitely will not be looking back on my life wishing I worked less. If that's not how you feel at work, quit. On your lunch break, disappear. Make people go, what happened to that guy? I don't know. He said he was getting something to eat, never came back.
Interesting, right? So don't complain, change. Don't stick to something that you hate, change. It's okay. interesting that he also kind of introduced all this with AI and the values of the future, and that he thinks that AI is just a tool that was invented because people are getting more and more lazy, that they cherish comfort over experience and adventure, that they cherish more having a stable job instead of risking something because they don't want to lose. They're more afraid of their own strength, right? This is, I think, the idea that he likes to convey here.
The one thing I know about this gang here, you are all worker bees, and I mean that as the highest compliment. I love bees.
It's also a chemical. Again, I think there's a double meaning here.
Beautiful, amazing, elegant society. I made a cartoon movie about bees you may have watched as a child. If any of you felt slightly uncomfortable about the sexual undertones in the relationship between Barry the bee and Vanessa, the florist who saves his life, I would like to apologize for that now. I may not have calibrated that perfectly, but I would not change it. And this is probably the biggest point I would like to make to you here today regarding humor.
Interesting. And now he comes to the final top notch, right? To the, this is the iceberg. This is the cherry on the muffin. This is the pinnacle stone. He's building the temple, guys. This is the summit point of the temple. This is the pinnacle point. Interesting.
I'm going to try and reach across a couple generations here.
Reach across a couple generations, right? This is the faith. I'm preaching at the temple. This is the pinnacle. This is the cornerstone. This is the Ben. This is the pyramidion.
Here to tell you the most important thing. I am confident that...
Right, the blank hand, the five senses. This is the pinnacle. This is the top of the evolution. This is the highest point, the peak performance.
I know about life. I'm 70. I'm done.
I'm 70, 70, the holy number. I'm done, right? I've done it. I'm done. This is life. I'm God in this example, of course, also.
You are just starting. I only want to help you.
Alpha and Omega. You're just starting. I just want to help you. The bee is, of course, an alchemical colony. There's a lot of, we could go and dissect this for hours, right? I don't want to fatigue you too much. I just want to show you how numerical patterns, technical, instruments, how a strong narrative and a very eloquent, breezy, and still secure and great vocal image can get you through 15, 16 minutes of 17 minutes almost of speech while controlling thousands of people, a great crowd that is just waiting to finally get some beer. Great, great job. There's so much to learn here.
Slightly uncomfortable feeling of awkward humor is okay.
Great. Now we have humor, right? AI, laziness, and humor. It's okay to have humor. Let's bring back, there's definitely what he's trying to bring here now to capitalize is humanity and humor, right? Human and humor. There is so much in common. I don't think that's a coincidence.
It's not something you need to fix. I totally admire the ambitions of your generation to create a more just and inclusive society. I think it is also wonderful that you care so much about not hurting other people's feelings in the 1,000,001 ways we all do that every second of every day. It's
now he's getting to the real talking points.
Lovely to want to fix those things, but all caps, but what I need to tell you,
all caps, big, but guys, listen to this, right? Very interesting. He's getting very close.
You as a comedian, do not lose your sense of humor. You can have no idea at this point in your life how much you are going to need it to get through. Not enough of life makes sense for you to be able to survive it without humor. And
Yes, you can't survive without humor. So there is no way of comparing yourself into greatness. There is no way of identifying yourself to a peak performance. There is no way of thinking yourself to an excellent execution of an art piece. You need to suffer. You need to work, and you need humor in the process, and stop pretending that everything else matters more than the actual work. Ding dong.
I know all of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done,
he bangs on the desk. He bangs on the desk, right? 1, 2, 3. He's the judge. 1, 2, 3. This is, you're going to do a bang up judge. Great, right? I believe in you. 1, 2, 3. This is the way we should do it. Dam, dam, dam. We believe in this product and this message and this narrative. I give you again because it's so important. He's finishing this up in an incredible way. He's a typhoon, guys. He's really unhinged and unleashed here. Great.
But what I need to tell you as a comedian, do not lose your sense of humor. You can have no idea at this point in your life how much you are going to need it to get through. Not enough of life makes sense for you to be able to survive it without humor. And I know all of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done, as I am now, I bet the world, because of you,
you see that he had to fix his watch, right? So he was pushing a little bit over the limit. He really let himself go. I give you this moment. I'm sorry for doing this, and not really, but it's really cool what happens here. Pay attention to his left hand when he's banging on the desk.
All of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done,
he's fixing his watch right now, right? You could even hear the watch popping up. So he really banged on this desk. That was an authentic movement. That was his, Freud taking over his subconscious, really speaking for him.
Now, I bet the world, because of you, will be a much better place. But it will still not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It'll be a better, different, but still pretty insane mess. And it is worth the sacrifice of an occasional discomfort to have some laughs.
Yes, you need to feel discomfort sometimes and have a laugh. Nonetheless, things go bad sometimes, go sideways. Sometimes we fail, right? Don't blame no one else. Look at you, laugh about yourself. This is how we crystallize this beautiful thing called the human experience. And sometimes we fall and we laugh about ourselves. This is the way we lose the wound the quickest, right?
Don't lose that. Even if it's at the cost of occasional hard feelings, it's okay. You gotta laugh. That is the one thing at the end of your life you will not wish you did less of. Humor is the most powerful, most survival, essential quality you will ever have or need.
Essential quality means that through humor, we stay human. Human. Both are connected. If we disconnect from our humor, from our sense of constructive criticism, of seeing ourselves from a broader perspective and not taking everything so serious and not being entitled about controlling every situation, and sometimes also surrendering ourselves to the moment and not feeling of, oh, I need to control this in order to enjoy it. No, it's part of the collective. This is how we grow and how we move. Sometimes alone we can move fast, but as a collective we go further. We enjoy it more ultimately. We need other people. The thing that is essential about us is to have humor, to laugh about our own mistakes, mishappenings, inconsistencies and misunderstandings, and not always blaming the other side, because blaming just makes us harder and it doesn't solve anything. It just complicates the situation. So this idea of building your identity on blaming other people for their mistakes and for their faults, sometimes even if they were made in the past, is absolutely nonsensical. It's crazy, and also a way of giving birth to ideas that an argument is more important than the action. So I can think of a way of blaming you, and now you have to defend yourself because that stands for more than what you have achieved so far. That is absolutely nuts and ludicrous. That is only a psychopath could think this way, that this has any value, any meaning, or any valor. Sorry.
To navigate through the human experience. The other thing I see going on that throws a lot of people, thank you. I was hoping you'd like that part.
There's a lot of people sitting there, guys. This is really huge.
The other thing I see going on that throws a lot of people off these days is thinking, I've got to make as much money as I can. I personally believe the real game is I want to have the coolest job.
Yes, the coolest job. It's that. Nothing else, guys. It's making something that is meaningful to you, or that gives you satisfaction, or that shows, you know, what you're capable of. And if you can have a job like that, that is way more fulfilling than all the money. And I'm living proof of that. Right? No, because you know, it's just I'm here because I love coaching in the end more, talking to the people and translating ideas and getting to know so many different experiences and so many different, you know, creative adventures I have to throw myself in, getting informed on so many different topics. That is the real cool stuff about being a coach. And the monotony of sometimes just being on set for one role over such an extended period of time, like I did, of course, where you kind of reach the limits of the development of the character, then you rather prefer that than, you know, a cool job rather than have a lot of money. Um, so I guess what we can learn from Jerry Seinfeld versus TED Talks is that what he did in this in this very skillful way of presenting with humor, with the right consciousness, a set of different topics that all conveyed one big overarching narrative, that one conveyed one big overarching message. I think this is the way you should, you know, kind of go into a public speaking event. This is the way you should convey your ideas. And this is ideas worth spreading because the value of his preposition, but also the execution, context and content were just perfectly matching on very high levels. And I think I will watch this this speech a couple of times. I broke it down already, and I think I will also do a doodle about it in another episode because I feel like the way he kind of orchestrated this, he went through it, the whole choreography, the topics he touched upon, the way he used his gesture. This is how it's been done, guys. This is really great work, and I hope you got a lot of inspiration out of today's episode because I feel like when you have someone that conveys emotion, expression, and also an idea that is, you know, kind of worth thinking about. And he does it without offending anyone, without using any blaming points, without trying to attack anyone, without, then you know exactly that was done in a very, you know, it's a very tasteful way. And nowadays, where everything is about louder, more aggressive, more noise, more attack, more colors, more vulgarness, more sex, more this, more that, instead of less and better, right? Just more, because more nowadays for many people stands for quality, where volume is just a process of exercise to learn to execute better. But if that is the only reason you're doing it, just to produce volume, of course, then it becomes nefarious. Then it becomes just trash, right? This is nothing that we want, just trash. We want content. We want something that inspires us, moves us, ignites us, and gives us something to think about, and maybe also some hope, some perspective, and true guidance. And when somebody says never lose your humor, always keep yourself in the game, and never exit the train no matter what, this is how you finally learn something, which is more important than being result driven, which ultimately will make you richer than anything else, because that will most definitely lead to a cool job that satisfies you, gratifies you, and makes you a better human, right? It makes you feel like now you finally achieved your life's purpose. And definitely when you achieve those states, you will attract the right people. So definitely it's kind of feedbacking, kind of back and forth also to your environment. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much, Chad, for sticking around. Thank you so much, Jerry Seinfeld and Duke University, for making this happening. Now, nonetheless, what we learned at TED Talks is that you can always improve, that even a big empire can fall, but then it will rise again. This is normal oscillations, and we were looking forward to kind of give you the content that inspires you, but also in a way instructs you for your improvement. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking by. Hopefully you will stop by also to our channel in the future, like and subscribe to the show the algorithm what you value. Contact us on readytoperform.com if you want to get better, if you want to improve, and stick around also for the free masterclass on Saturday. It's gonna be a beautiful occasion to learn something about improv. You can register down here, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon over here at the COACHMC studio, live on Zoom. Thank you so much, guys. See you on Saturday Night Hypnosis for sure. And then again, it's going to be next Tuesday with the open class doodles. No, actually, forget that. We're going to change something. This is also the right time to kind of introduce this to you guys. We're going to change the setup of open class doodles. We're going to have a Monday and a Thursday open class doodle now. Monday 6 p.m, Thursday like always 3 p.m, like today. And now the Tuesday open class doodle, we will turn it into the Three Sages and the Time Machine show. I guess we're gonna call it this way. We're just gonna call it the Three Sages and the Time Machine show, where we're gonna, as usual, talk with Dragon Slayer commentaries, Ryan Roger Athay from the Saturday Night Hypnosis panel about the mysteries of the past and trying to shed some light into what happened before us. And we're going to also deliver, of course, some entertainment. Hope you had some entertainment and some education at the same time today. If that was the case, also share this content to the people you loved, you deem should be watching this, right, in order to learn and grow as well. Otherwise, see you with the next video, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. Now you're ready to perform.